4 new crew members on board SpaceX's newest Dragon capsule docked with the International Space Station Sunday. And look at that. A lot of hugs and even some cameras flashing there. That finally clears the way for the 2 stranded Boeing Starliner astronauts to come on home. So this was really supposed to be just a days-long trip. It ended up being 9 months up in outer space because of multiple technical problems and malfunctions. NASA plans to fly Starliner Commander Butch Wilmore and his pilot Sunita Williams back to Earth tomorrow. So let's bring in CBS News correspondent Shanelle Kaul. Shanelle, I'm so glad to have you with us on the stream with me today. Can you go over what the astronauts' schedule, their flight looks like?
Great to be with you as well, Reed. So weather permitting, they will close the hatch at 11:15 tonight, and the plan is to undock at around 1 a.m. on Tuesday morning. This is going to be a really long trek home, 17-hour journey back down to Earth for Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams. Notably, they're not flying home in the same capsule that they took off in. Wilmore and Williams will instead be hitching a ride home in another spacecraft. You might remember the SpaceX Crew Dragon, which met them in space last September. So that's what they'll be coming home on. And if this all goes as scheduled, they should splash down at around 6 p.m. tomorrow in the Gulf Coast of Florida. And we're told we'll likely see them emerge at around 6:45 p.m. Now, Reed, once they land, they will then undergo some medical checks. As you mentioned, these folks have been away from Earth for some 9 months now, so they need to go through that first before finally being reunited with their families.
If I were them, I'd be like, get the medical check out of the way. I haven't had a pizza in 9 months, for sure. So how did
That's
NASA...
what I was going to say. You're McDonald's,
right.
Yeah.
Pizza, hey, how about all of it, right? So how did NASA really approach patching up these issues? We know this has really been a masterclass in a study in problem solving all along the way for 9 months. How did they do it?
Okay, so we know that the 2 were supposed to be on this 8-day mission. This began last June, but the Boeing Starliner that they were on at the time had so many problems. You might remember, Reed, there were helium leaks. Some of the thrusters actually malfunctioned. So after about 3 months of testing and analysis, NASA eventually deemed it unsafe to use to carry anyone back down to Earth. So instead, those 2 astronauts were basically told to stay on board, to stay on the ISS, while the Starliner then returned to Earth on its own. Their ride home, as I mentioned, from SpaceX arrived there late September, but even that suffered delays because the brand new capsule needed some extensive battery repairs. So after resolving all of those issues, a 4-person crew, as we saw this weekend, entered the ISS early Sunday morning, basically to relieve Williams and Wilmore. And typically this transition would take about a week long, but 2 big reasons we've seen this expedited. The first thing is the weather appears to be worsening later in the week. And the second issue here is NASA sort of wants to conserve all the supplies on board because it's been such a long stretch. So Wilmore and Williams, finally after 9 months, are set to begin their journey back down to Earth later tonight.
Yeah, and you know, we've gotten so used to seeing one of our astronauts and the hair in that zero gravity environment. When it comes back to Earth, the hair will be like, what am I supposed to do with the pull of gravity? It's been used to floating there in space.
It's giving Miss Frizzle a little bit.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much. It's so great to talk to you on the stream. I hope we get to do it a whole bunch more. Have a great day, my friend.